Okay, good day everyone. This is IREIT Global's FY 2023 results presentation dated 22nd February 2024. Right, so just a reminder, this is a pure play Western Europe focused REIT, right, with mainly office buildings, 77% office, and the main country that is located is in Germany, 60% Germany, right, and then the Spain component is 17%, and the France component is purely retail, right, at 23%. Right, so the first point of concern for this REIT is that property valuations has dropped by 10%, right? On 30th of September 2023, they were valued at 999.5 million euros. Now it's only worth 899 million euros. So this is a 10% drop in property valuation, right? So there are same number of properties, right? Although this is as of 31st December 2023, right? They have divested one office recently, right, in 31st January 2024, right? So same number of properties, because this one all is with respect to 31st December 2023, right? Same lettable error area, right? Leases slightly lesser, and occupancy rate at 90.4%, right? Which is the same as 30th September, right? So all these numbers here are as of 31st December 2023, right? The blue color numbers or the blue color words are as compared to 30th September 23, right? So 3 months ago, right? So moving forward, all right, gearing is the point which is affected, right? Because property valuation has dropped, the denominator for aggregate leverage has dropped, while the numerator is more or less constant. So what we have is aggregate leverage rising from 34.4% as of the 30th September to 37.9% as of 31st December, right? So this going up is a point of concern, but the good news is that there's no perpetual securities, so this is its real gearing ratio, or its real aggregate leverage, right? And yeah, so they explain is due to portfolio valuation dropping, right? Right, average weighted average interest rate is quite low. It actually dropped slightly from 30th September to 1.9%, so that's a good thing, right? Again, we remind ourselves this one has no debt maturity until January 2026, so by right this number shouldn't go up lah, or if it goes up it shouldn't be significant, right? Especially since almost everything is hedged, right? So yeah, we move on to, this is the divestment I believe we talked about earlier. Alright, so they intend to use the money for financing higher yielding assets, which means buy assets, or refurbishment of existing assets, which means asset enhancement. Alright, so moving on to financial performance. Here at first glance it looks quite bad, right? Income distributable to unit holders is down 13.5%, right? But if we look carefully, it's not that bad. Alright, I actually had a look at why this number dropped down to this number, and there are a couple of reasons. One is they retain this dilapidation cost payable by the Berlin campus to refinance repositioning of Berlin campus. Now this one I didn't add back to this number because I believe this is a one-off cost, right? That means a one-off income lah. So I will not add this to this value over here, because anyway this is not recurring, right? But this one is a recurring income that they actually gave up, because they offered rent-free status to these two tenants, right, at the Bonn campus, and I really don't know how to pronounce this word, I'm sorry, right? Basically these two campuses had rent-free periods, right, in FY 2023 and second half of 2023 respectively, right? So what I did was, for the second half of 2023, right, I added back this 400 million as well as half of this 2.5 million. So I added 1.65 million to this number, right, to arrive at this distributable income to unit holders, right? And that means there's a 2% drop from the half that was the last year, right? So it isn't so bad lah. There's a 2% drop instead of the reported or real 13.5% drop in income distributable to unit holders, right? Likewise, year on year, right, I added back these two numbers to this value, so that the drop is actually 10%, right? So year on year the drop is 10%, right? So moving on, right? So I recalculated this distribution, of course, to include this value here that should come in the next year, 2024, right? So when I recalculated that, the DPU, if we had included this amount of money, right, should be 1.07, which is relatively close to 1.09 in second half 2022 if we consider the enlarged base lah. Alright, so if like for like, right, I consider that the enlarged base is applied to second half 2022, right, actually the drop is almost similar. But if you want to compare on a more fair basis, right, maybe you can compare 1.28 drop to 1.07. Alright, so some people may argue that this number includes the French portfolio which they just bought in 2023, right? And part of why they had to enlarge the shareholder base is to buy that portfolio, right? So it's unfair to divide the second half 2022 performance by this enlarged unit base, right? So we could instead compare 1.28 to 1.07. Okay, I apologize I didn't do this calculation as to how much the drop is, but I think you can do it yourself. So you just take 1.28 minus 1.07, then you divide it by 1.28, right? Then you will get the adjusted drop in distribution per unit moving forward lah. That, right? So that is because I consider that this money should have been taken in by the REIT lah, if they haven't offered rent free, or at least moving forward this money should be there in 2024, right? Which is why we expect 2024's performance to be better, right? So I did a slight calculation. I'm not sure if today's price is 34.5 cents, right? But I believe it's roughly in this area, and this is the Singapore dollar version of the REIT, right? There's a euro dollar and a Singapore dollar version, right? But I think the euro dollar is very illiquid, so I use the Singapore dollar version to calculate 0.35 and 0.345, and that is 0.238 euros, right? Cents, right? So given using this value and using the actual distribution, right, it's actually giving us 7.8%, right? We should expect next year the distribution to be slightly higher than this, all right? Given that instead of 94 cents that is distributed for half a year, right, I will expect 1.07 cents instead, right? So you can recalculate the distribution if you wish to, right? But my question is 7.8 cents very attractive at this point, given that DBS is offering something like 7.1 to 7.3%, right? So that's my thinking currently. Like, if I'm looking at the risk profile of this REIT versus DBS, my thinking is DBS seems to be safer lah. But again, this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before doing any buy or sells, right? Okay, so moving forward, the NAV has dropped. Alright, and I don't think this is a surprise, okay, because of the drop in the valuation of investment properties. The good news about this is I think they do not need to do a revaluation for another year. So I don't think there will be any significant drop in property prices for the foreseeable future, right, until the end of the year, where they have to probably redo evaluations again, right? Okay, so this one is as of 31st December 2023. Right, they are saying that the REIT, even at 40.5 cents, is trading at a discount, 32% discount to its NAV of 60 cents, right? But now it's even lower. Now I think it's something like 34.5 cents. Right, so we look at the financial health, right? So in the past, the borrowings were around the same, 30th September and 31st December, almost the same, but aggregate leverage has gone up, right, primarily because of what we discussed earlier. Property valuations have dropped, but they say they have paid back some of these at least, right? So the new leverage is something like 37.4%. Again, this REIT doesn't have perpetual distributions, so this is an accurate sensing of its leverage, right? Average interest rate is very low at 1.9%, right? Interest coverage ratio is actually improved from 6.5x to 7x. So this is very safe, right? So this is like better than a lot of even our blue chip REITs, I believe, right? And yeah, the debt maturity is 2.8 years. Of course, you can say that in January 2026 there's high risk because there's a lot of debt to be refinanced, right? But it's about almost 2 years away, right? So yeah, so there's a technical recession, I believe, in Germany right now. So there's a the possible other problem that we may worry about. And I think the other last thing I will talk about shortly is about the German portfolio for the Berlin campus, right? So I'll just quickly look through the Berlin campus part. Yeah, this is my main worry right now, right? Because the Berlin campus is a very big part of this REIT, all right? So if the main tenant does leave at the end of December 2024, which is the end of this year, next year's distribution might be affected, all right? And also, I don't know how long they will take to repurpose and reposition the campus, all right, and find tenants to replace this Berlin campus. So this is not a very near-term problem, but it's definitely next year's problem lah. And I'm not very sure how long it will take for this REIT to adjust for this Berlin campus issue if the main tenant decides to move away, right? So I'll try to find the part where I decided the Berlin campus was an issue. I think it was the last document. Sorry, just give me a moment. Yeah, I'll just go straight for the Berlin campus part. I'll show you before I end this presentation. Yeah, so Berlin campus, you can see here, is actually a very big part of their German portfolio, right? So it's 44.6% of the German portfolio itself. And if you remember, the German portfolio is a large part of this overall portfolio. I believe that Berlin campus as a percentage of its total net assets, right, is of its total property valuation, right, something like 28%, right? So it's 28% of the REIT, right? So I expect that it is contributing significant income lah. I think I did an estimate of its income as well. Yeah, so this is the amount of income they got from Germany, right? And if you want to actually extrapolate to how much the German property has contributes to the REIT, right, you can probably roughly, right, take 45% multiply by this value, right? So that's the amount of income at risk, which is not a small amount, all right? So yeah, with that, again, this is not any call to buy and sell, right? And thank you for listening.